Hey guys, Sal here with Detailers Growth. Today I'm sitting down with one of our sales coaches, Patrice, how you been, man?
Good you.
Good, man. Trying to stay warm. Trying to stay warm
Same here. It's pretty freaking cold here.
over in Canada. So we'll go over that. But just to dive into today's topic, we're going to be going over how to overcome pricing objections, more specifically with paint protection film (PPF). Last week we spoke with Aaron. We talked about how to overcome pricing objections with coatings. So this week I think it'd be a good idea, Patrice, to get the PPF side of things. So Patrice, can you give us a little bit of background on why overcoming pricing objections is super important to growing your business?
Let's see. I give an example. A client calls in and they're looking for a price. That's the first thing they shout out. They're looking for a price.
Yes.
And they're looking for the lowest price possible to get that service done. Okay. So what's going to happen is that is a huge mistake. So pricing objection you'll get is that your prices are too high. I got to talk to my wife. I got to think about it.
Right.
They're hesitant. They're on the fence of actually pulling the trigger. First thing you need to do is to properly listen to what they're saying to you. I see a lot of salespeople not listening to what the client's needs are and what they're looking for exactly. Let's say they're on a budget. I'll give you a perfect example like that. Let's say his budget is, let's say $800, and you know that your partial front is $895. So there's a bit of a gap there. It's like $95. Let's say $100 of a gap to go and get. But you know that your prices are without taxes. So with your taxes, you're going to be kind of a little bit over the $1,000 marks. You have to try and breach that gap. Oh, that client's going to say, yeah, but I only have $800. You say, you know what? I totally understand. You have to agree with the client right off the bat to say, I totally agree that, you might not have the funds, not a budget, but the funds. So I'm just going to stop right there. Budget, you're constraining yourself and you're going on the rational side of the brain, where if you use the word funding, you're keeping yourself on the emotional side of the brain. Let's not kid ourselves. Sales is all about emotions. So you got to keep on the emotion side.
Just to double click on those two distinctions there, how do you know when somebody is kind of approaching that call when they ask for a price from a budget point of view versus a funding point of view?
So throughout the conversation, at one point, you got to build value before you get to that price. So typical call, they're going to call in and say, hi, this is Mougeot Restaurant. How can I help you?
Yeah.
They say, yeah, I got this car and I'm looking to get paint protection film installed in the car. Perfect. What kind of vehicle is it? Now they're going to tell you what kind of car it is, right? And you go, man, that's perfect. You're at a right time. We get a special running right now. It's $17.97 plus taxes. You get a full front, full hood, full fenders, the two mirrors, and you get the front bumper, right? So with that, now you build the value. You say, well, with the rest of the car, we put a ceramic coating on the rest of the car and all the glass and the face of the wheels. Normally, that would cost you an extra $1,300 just to get that. But you know what? We're giving that for you for free with the full front installation at $17.97 plus taxes. Now, normally that's where the objection will start right there. They're going to say, yeah, but I'm on a budget, or I can't afford it. Okay? So normally you would know that right off the bat, the price is a problem. And you would come back and say, so basically, if I understand you correctly, okay, is that right now you don't have the funding to protect your vehicle? Am I understanding right? And they're going to go, yeah, I don't have the budget right now. So when you hear the word budget, they're on the rational side of the brain right now. You want to get them away from the rational side and put them on the emotional side. Then you come back and say, so I'm understanding that you don't have the funds, but answer me this question. If you were able to get the funds for this project, how would you go about and do it? They're going to start and explain to you, well, I would have to pay with my credit card, or I have to, take money off the bank account, and so on and so forth. Whatever reason they tell you, okay? So once they give you the main objection and you come forward and you come back with a rational explanation as to where they should get the funding, then the ball starts kicking, okay? Because now you're actually putting them on the emotional side, so you're starting to reel them in. They don't know it yet, but they just let their guard down. Without even noticing. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. So in other words, budget is something that they've set aside going into the call, right? But funding is something that is, like you said, more on the emotional side, but something that's also more flexible, right? Just depending on the approach there. One approach would be financing. The other one, like you mentioned, credit card or something like that, right? Or, pay the deposit, pay the rest later. When somebody says they can't afford the PPF, how do you kind of handle that conversation to move them from budget to funding?
Okay. So I answered them back. I asked them, can you tell me how much you paid for your vehicle? So let's say they tell me I paid $55,000 or $60,000. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So do you find that expensive? And they go, yes, I do find that expensive. Okay. Why did you buy the car? Well, because I need a vehicle. I need to go from point A to point B. Okay. But do you find that that car was inside your budget? Or did you find that the car was outside your budget? They go, well, it was a little bit more expensive than I wanted to pay, but you know, I'm fine with it. Now you're talking budget with the client, right? Now, how to go from budget to funding? You go, wouldn't you think that maybe you could have bought maybe a little bit down, maybe in the same brand, but a little bit lower, so you could have your funding to be able to protect the paint on the vehicle? I'm not talking budget anymore. Now I'm talking about funding. So I'm re-gearing him at that point, make him think, and I'm going, damn, yeah, I should have done that instead of going all the bells and whistles and
Yeah.
the warranty and all that. Pitching a lot of money into it. So that's an F&I. That's his job, right? And you
Right.
go, that extra little tidbit of funding, that you're going to put in your car to protect it for the long run. And don't get me wrong, I totally get it, right? $1,800 is a lot of money. I get that. But it's warranted for 12 years. Okay. Not only that, how much do you think it costs to repaint a full front end on a vehicle now today? I don't know. Okay. Can you do me a huge favor? You don't need to buy with me today. You don't need to book with me or anything like that. What I want you to do, okay, and this is my educational part I want to gift you for absolutely free. I want you to call at least 2 body shops. Don't take mine. Do your own research. I'll give you a
Right.
show back tomorrow. Do your research, call 2 body shop and ask them how much it costs to repaint the full hood, the 2 fenders, the front bumper. Well, I'll call you tomorrow. Okay, we'll talk about it more. My conversation ends right there. I don't want to put him in more pressure than he already is. I want to relax him. Basically, I want to keep his guard down. The next day when I call him back and I say, hey, this is Patrice from Mujo Auto Spa. Remember our conversation from yesterday? He's going to go, yes, I do. Did you call those 2 body shops? He's going to go, yes, I did. Okay, what was the price of that full front end for repaint? Normally they'll go between $3,200 and $3,500.
Yeah.
Now, I said, that's pretty steep, right? He's go, yeah. So how would you get the funding to get that front end repainted? And they go, I don't know. Okay, so can we go back to yesterday's conversation? And when I told you that it was costing you $1,800 to protect that front end, but for the next 12 years, doesn't seem that a little bit more logical at that point?
I like
Some of them
that.
will say yes, Sal. Some of them will say no. They're still gonna, stomp you with the
Right.
price. That's where you would go ahead and you say, hey, totally get that. So did you buy your car cash or are you on payments? They go, I'm on payments. Well, you know what? We can offer you the same thing. And best yet, do you have zero financing with the car right now? They're going to say, no, I'm paying 4.99. I said, what
Yeah.
if I were to tell you that with $1,800 plus taxes, I can get you 0% financing at that point? You don't pay any interest. You pay just capital. It's an open loan. You can reimburse it anytime you want. And basically, your payments are going to be roughly between $80 to $90 a month. How does that sound? So basically, you're actually giving them a way of actually going and get the funding that they need to protect that vehicle.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't and they still insist that no, I don't want to go that route, I'd rather have the money and so on and so forth, then you have to really go and point the inevitable. Okay, you're gonna go. I totally understand. Okay, but the fact is that if you keep driving your vehicle in the weather conditions that we're in right now, with everything they put on the road, this is what's going to happen. Okay, and this is called the pain. Your car is going to get on the road. You're going to get stone chips. What's going to happen afterwards? First thing, if you want to go and trade that vehicle in, your trade value is going to go down because the exterior condition of your car is not going to be brand new. Okay.
Right.
Second, you have a far better chance of damaging even more than the front end. You might damage the bottom of the doors, you might damage the E-pillars, the rooftop, and then you just keep going. At the end, I think it would have been better off if you would have paid the $1,800 and protect that front end with PPF, which can withstand rock chips. And you still have that brand new feeling of your car, even though there's a little bit more mileage on it. But when you go and trade it in, you're going to have top dollar for it. But not only that, think about your neighbors. Still, 5 years down the road, your vehicle is still going to look brand spanking new, while theirs, which
Right.
is unprotected, is going to look the way it looks. Would you rather not still have a brand new car in your driveway 5 years down the road, where you're still going to love and take care and wash and everything, and everybody's going to say, "What the heck did you do to your car?" compared to that? So
Yeah.
again, you play with the emotions all the time.
So one thing that stands out there, Patrice, is just the flexibility of the routes that you can take just with that one conversation, right? That was just one
Yeah.
example that we were starting off with. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of other detailers make, whether it's coatings or PPF. They're just going straight to the price. They're not value building. They're not giving financing options. They're not using all these things that they have in their tool belt. So, what advice could you give to somebody, Patrice, who doesn't understand why it's important to be flexible with that lead?
First off, not all of these leads are going to be your clients. So let's put that in perspective. You can't sound like you're a pushy salesman. Okay, the guy's calling in, or you're calling in because the lead came in. You got to sound just as if you're having a normal conversation between friends. Okay.
Yes.
So anybody, anywhere, it doesn't matter where you go, to Walmart, you go to Canadian Tire, you go to Home Depot, okay? These are all places where they have fixed prices. You pay the price that you see on the shelf when you go to the cashier, right? You got to
Right.
have that same mentality with your leads or your clients that are coming in. It's the same thing. How to build value. So, give you a prime example. I have this oven that's $400, and the other one right besides it is twice as much, which is $800. Why should I be paying 800 when I can have one at 400? Okay, well
Yes.
the one at 400, they just came on the market. They're brand spanking new. They've been in business for roughly not even a year, 6 months. Yeah, their warranty's good, but it's a brand new model. It's a brand new company. Whereas the
Yeah.
one at 800 bucks has been in business for over 25, 30 years. Their warranty is way better, but they're renowned for quality work. Logically, you would say, you know what? I'll go over the 800 one. The hell with the 400 one. I don't want that. That's way too cheap. I know I'm going to have issues. This is a brand new model, brand new company. So what is it
Right.
really worth?
Yeah.
So
And I think one thing there with that analogy is that a lot of detailers who have been in business for a really long time, let's say 5, 10 years, right? They have that acumen, they have that customer base, the
yeah.
reviews, but they're not leveraging that in the conversation. What are some ways that somebody who does have all of those things, they have the quality, they have the products, how could they use that in the conversation?
So client says, "Hey, XYZ shop is charging me $1,500 instead of your 1,800." You say, "Hey, I totally understand that my prices might be a little bit higher than other shops. I get that. But what kind of film are they installing? What kind of warranty are they giving you? Have you done your research on this company? What is the feedback on that company? Have you read the reviews? Have you asked them to go at their shop to see how they work? Have they
Right.
accepted? Have they refused? I just don't want you, to select a shop based on price rather than based on quality of service. Number one, quality of installation. Number two, quality of product. Number three, and reputation. Number four. If all of these align, they're 5-star service. They got a super duper product that they put on the car. It's 100% American made, nothing Chinese on any of that sort. It's 100% American. They have awesome quality service, okay? And they bring to the table, that super duper experience. Then you know what? This is where you would sacrifice yourself as a company and say, you know what? Go ahead and go do business with them. Can you do me a favor once you've done that? Sure. Can you bring me the car over? I'd like to go over the car with you. Just to make sure everything went fine, So
Yeah.
now you're sacrificing yourself. You're acting as a big brother to that client and go, this guy's $300 more,
Yeah.
but he's bringing so much to the table.
Yeah. He wants what's best for that lead, right?
Exactly, exactly that. So now what you're doing is that you're actually putting into the ground that little, say,
The seed?
the seed. Yes, you're putting that seed into his brain. I go, maybe I shouldn't be going to that $1,500 job. I think I should be going to them instead.
Yeah.
So now they're starting to actually adjust to that and go second guessing themselves. And, yeah, okay. They might still not book with you right now, but they might say, "Do you mind if I take the day, to do my research and all that?" Sure, I'll do you one better. Here's the link to my website. Here's the link to my Google. Here's a link to my Facebook. Here's a link to my Instagram. Here's a link to the paint protection film manufacturer I do business with. Send all these links and you tell them when you have the time, click on each and every one of them I want you to go and read all the reviews that clients left for us. I want you to go ahead and look at our manufacturer that we do business with, paint protection film. And I want you to take at least maybe half an hour and surf through our social media and see the kind of work that we pull out. Then I want you to do the same thing with them.
Yeah, I think just right off the bat, the customer service is like the
Yes,
biggest thing that I'm noticing there.
that,
So that's basically how you take somebody from being a price conscious shopper to somebody who's actually going to do the research, see what's in their best
yep.
interest, even if it is more expensive. So that's one of the biggest things that it's like a muscle that you just have to build, right? But I think as long as you know to mention those things, like, hey, we have 5 stars, we have over 300 reviews on Google, we use this product, we have a great reputation. Like if you can highlight that in the conversation, that's how you build that value. And even better, that's how you shift their perspective on that cheaper quote. Maybe it's not a good idea to go with the cheaper guy because he just gave me a price. I thought it sounded good. It's a lot lower than what you gave me, Patrice, but he didn't tell me anything else. There's a lot of questions that I have now that I'm talking with you, Patrice, versus the
Well,
first
there we
guy.
go. No, I'm going to iron out that right there. I have a lot of questions. Next question you can ask when you call them, were they kind of in a hurry with you on the phone, to brush you off and give you a price, and that was it? Did they take the
Yeah.
time to talk to you? And if they say no, it was just like fast and easy. I said, there you go. That's your first red flag. I said, we've been on this phone call for 20 minutes, and I'm still talking to you, taking the time to educate you. Okay, so normally this is the kind of business you would want to do business with. Not only that, at $1,500, did they explain to you what they were doing to your car? They said no, not really. They'll say that most likely 95% of the time. They won't take the time to explain. All they want to bring them in, take the cash. That's
Yeah.
one of the worst mistakes a company can do. Take the time to educate your customer base. Hey, do you remove emblems? Do you remove side cameras? Do you remove plastic fender flares? Do you go over and beyond, wrapping all the edges, so on and so forth? You don't take the time to properly prep the vehicle before PPF install. You need to take the time to explain that to your client exactly what you're going to be doing. Building value, instilling confidence, your brand. You're building your brand name at the same time. So that
Yeah.
client, when he sees this logo and the name, will say, man, this guy's professional. This is what you want to do. At $1,500, I can guarantee you, either one, they're starting in business, which is fine. But if they're starting business, meaning they have no experience on whatsoever, I'm not too sure that their job quality is going to be there. I'm pretty sure they're not going to remove anything to go over and beyond for that $1,500 price.
Right.
And fourth, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be looking at your car and going to look, I'm sorry, I'm going to say that like that, but it's going to look like shit. Now you're going to regret that decision. You're going to come back to me because most likely they're not going to warranty the work for sure because they're not certified with the brand they're installing. They only took a training course without a certification, which I've often heard before. They're going to come back to us and say, what do you think of that? Wow, that's not a work of art. That's like a 5-year-old trying to a kitty or something, So you have to explain to your client that they're actually doing a mistake without telling them that they're doing a mistake.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think if like giving that, well, you're basically just educating, right? You're not giving them a warning, but like
no.
you're painting the picture of what that would look like in the near future, right? They're a buyer, they're searching around for quotes, they want to
Buyer
get this
beware.
done. Exactly. But a lot of buyers see the ad, they see your website, they see the work, they're excited, they want to get it done. They don't know exactly how much it costs, but that's kind of where the rest of the sales process happens. So, Patrice, I have a couple points here, a couple of objections that I want to go through to see how you would tackle them in like 1 or 2 minutes, I would say, just like kind of here's the things that the detailer should know, here's what to avoid, here's what to highlight. So, first one that you mentioned, Patrice, when we were texting last night is I can find it cheaper somewhere else. How would you tackle that pricing objection?
As I was stating earlier, you always start by acknowledging what the client is saying. I totally understand you can find this type of work cheaper elsewhere. But what does cheap translate into? What kind of brand of film they're using? What kind of quality work are they pumping out? What kind of reviews do they have? Are they insured? Are they certified?
Yes.
Did they get training and have a certification in their hands? How long have they been doing this? How long have they been in business? These are all the type of things. And in the end, cheaper does not mean better. Cheaper might mean catastrophe. Now, the way that you name all of this, right? And then you go, what is the cost to you of going there to have it cheaper? And then you pick up your car, and as soon as you pick it up, you see that the workmanship is not there at all. You're getting pissed off. Okay. Now you're talking with the guy that did the install, and he goes, "Oh no, that's normal. I know we've heard all of this stuff before. No, that's normal. That's the way it's installed. There's no standard
Yeah.
in the industry." And basically, I'm telling the truth. There is no standard in the industry in PPF. Okay.
Right.
It's just like not being a lawyer or a doctor, you know. So meaning that the guy is, he's going to brush you off. Now you're going to take your car, he's going to put it in your driveway, and you got to go, man, what a damn idiot I am to have, went the cheaper route instead of going to the other guy. And now they're being afraid. Not only are they being afraid, but they have this sense of idiocy to give you a shout, and they're going to say, oh man, this guy's going to judge me now. I'm going to look really stupid. But the thing is that we don't judge people. When they call you and you pick up the phone, you say, hey, this is Sal, remember me? We had this conversation. I took my car, to this guy because this guy's was cheaper. I can regret my decision now because now I look at my car and, I'm not too familiar how this should be done, but it doesn't look right. Do you mind if I come in and, show you the car? And you go, sure, no problem. Keep your options open. Don't push him off. Accept it. He's going to come and show you the car and you're going to go, what is this? And then make sure, and this is a very valid point and very important one, do not downgrade that job. Do not bash that company. You go, I'm looking at the workmanship right now, and this is not the way I would have done it. And then you go, I'll explain to you how it should be done. And then you go around the car and you tell them, well, normally, water bubbles are okay, but this many, I think it's more to have to do with the squeegeeing technique and the pressure, so on and so forth. Air bubbles, they could have poked that out, but this is all things that can be solved, right? As far as the edges, half an inch off the edge, no, that doesn't work because now these are all exposed to stone chips, right? And then why is there cut marks on your paint? I've never seen that before. And then you just keep emphasizing on the workmanship. And then at one point you stop and you go, I think I've said enough. Okay. So this is what's going to happen if you want to. Okay. You can go back to that place and have them fix it because this should be under warranty if they want to warranty it, right? Or we can book you in, we can fix it. But unfortunately, the downside of this is I have to charge it to remove the film off the car. Okay, I got to charge it to prep everything back to the standard before I install my paint protection film. If your paint is cut, I have to try and fix this if I can fix it. If not, then I have to contact a body shop to find out how much it's going to cost to fix those. Now, the first thing goes into the mind of that client is going cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Now they really have that sour taste in their mouth. But you're keep educating them. You're actually, educating them to the point where at the end, once you've redone the car, make sure you take your phone or your camera. Doesn't matter which one. Film them while they're actually giving you their feedback on your workmanship. If your workmanship is A1 on the button, they will say it directly in front of that camera. Then you post that on social media. This becomes gold.
That is gold. You could use that in an ad, in your website, in your text follow-ups. There's so many things you could do with just one client testimonial that could just give people, or even that client sharing their experience of, hey, I went with somebody else. I didn't like the workmanship. Came up with threes. He got me set up right. I'm happy. I'm more than happy.
I know. I went in large with that just that single one objection, but I think it was important to actually put it up there.
Yeah. That's the most common one. That's the most common one because a lot of people will say, hey, or a lot of detailers will reply to that objection of, I can find it cheaper somewhere else, or I got a cheaper quote. And they'll just say, okay, go with that person. Click, right? Or like they cut the conversation short. They don't go down those avenues, especially with PPF where the ticket sizes are so big that, you should at least try. You should at least try.
Not only try, take the time to educate. It doesn't matter whether the client goes away and goes somewhere else. The thing is, what's gonna stick in their brain is that you took the time, even though they didn't book with you, you took the time to educate that client on what they should be looking for. Okay, just in case to prevent them from getting red flags. I don't know how many times I had clients telling me they're going to do their research and all that, but I took the time to talk to them. Guess what? 3 weeks down the road, they called me back. Hey, it's so-and-so. Remember we had the conversation? Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Remember. Yeah. You have this car, right? Yeah. Yeah. When's your next available date? Sure. Yeah. Then you go in your calendar and you give them a date and everything. Can I ask you a question? Sure. What made you change your mind to call us back? First thing that comes out of their mouth. is that, you took the time with me on the phone to explain to me everything, and I did my due diligence. I called a few shops here and there, and I'm going to name them. And I always tell them, I don't want to know who you call. I don't care. I don't want to know that.
Right.
And they didn't go in depth as much as you did. They took like maybe 5 minutes with me on the phone, or 6 minutes, whatever, and it seemed like they were kind of too busy for me, to talk to me on the phone. They would brush me off, and some even didn't call me back, or some didn't even send me the quote at all. They just quoted me on the phone. That was it. I never heard back from them, even after I asked them to send me a quote. So
Man.
every single tidbit of information you're gonna give to them, but not only that, the promise that you tell them you're gonna send them a quote, send it.
Yeah.
Those other shops that don't follow up, and after giving their word in the brain of the client, they go, there's no credibility right there. That company just lost credibility. They lost face. You can be assured they're going to call you back, because everything that you said on the phone, you promised and you did, which is extremely important.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you mentioned that promise thing, that's kind of what it's all about, right? It's these little promises that kind of stack up to where it kind of leads me to my next question, which is how to overcome the objection. I'm not really sure if it's worth it. So you're stacking up those promises to get rid of that feeling of it's not necessarily the product, it's mostly the shop, the person I'm doing business with that I need to trust. I need to really be on the same page with. Because if they're not, they're never going to get it done with any shop, and they're not going to be an informed buyer, right?
No.
So, Patrice, if somebody's saying, I'm not really sure if it's worth the investment, how do you tackle that?
So you want to find out how long they intend to keep the car for. So let's say it's brand spanking new, and they tell you, I don't know. What's your average? What's the average amount of years that you keep your vehicles for? 5 years. And what's the average amount of kilometers you put on a yearly basis? 20 to 25. Okay. So you'll be putting between 100 and 125,000 kilometers on there. So these are not miles, but kilometers. Oh, still, it's not that bad. It's pretty average, I would say. They put rock and salt on the road right in the wintertime, right? You go, yeah, okay, perfect. Can you tell me from your previous vehicle, have you ever noticed stone chips, or how does the paint look? And then you hit the nerve right then and there. The answer is going to come back super fast. Yeah, I had a lot of stone chips. Oh, you did? Did you get those fixed before returning your car? No, I didn't. Okay, was the car paid off? Yeah. And how much did you get for that car? Did you look up how much you could have gotten for that car? No. Okay, let me do a little bit of research for you. And then I would type in and go, you could have gotten at least 20 or 22. Well, how come I only got 15? Well, first off, it's a dealership, right? They got to make money off the car. But unfortunately, your exterior paint had a lot of stone chips. So,
and the dealerships will tear you up for that, right? They'll point them out. They'll put the blue tape on it. They'll mark it. Yeah.
Exactly. So then you go, now this is a brand new car that you at least want to keep for 5 years, maybe longer. Now, if you don't want that car to look like it used to look on the other cars, you just answered your own question right there. What do you think? You return that question back to them. Now you've hit the pain. You've hit the pain right then and there. You're stuck it right in the heart. And they go, "You're good. You're good, man." I said, "Oh no, I'm not good. I'm just stating the obvious, right? I'm just pointing you out basically what you've told me. You've told me that stone chips. You're afraid of that, of getting that new car. But you said at the beginning of our call that you weren't too sure if it was worth it. Now do you see the value in putting that paint protection film on the car? I get it that it's X amount of money. I totally understand you. It's a lot of money. But what is it worth to you in 5 years from now? Is it just a car that goes from A to B? Or is it a car where you're going to really take care of, like you said you would? If it's option B, then you know what? That $1,800 is a no-brainer. If it's option A, and I talk to them like that, and you don't give a shit about the car, then don't spend your money. I don't care. You don't care. So why would you?
Yeah.
Then what I just did right now, normally what I just did, I hit a second string of nerve.
So you say that on the call.
On purpose. I say that on purpose. Now I'm striking the
man.
ego. I'm striking the ego at that point. And they go, and it lights up a fire up their butt. And they go, well, I care about my car. Oh, do you? Well, yeah, I do. Okay, then why are you not investing why you're not investing in protecting it then? Well, then they're going to start baffling on the call, because now you actually put them in the corner, right? So they don't know how to get out of that corner because they don't have any more objections to give you. Well, these are a little bit tidbits of examples how you can go and say when somebody says, well, I'm not too sure the value's into it. I'm not too sure it's really worth it. So you got to be able to show them that it's actually worth to protect their vehicle in the long run.
Yeah, and just to kind of tie this back to the first question of I can find it cheaper somewhere else, you're asking those questions to give them that clarity. Because a lot of
Yeah,
the times they just like the idea of getting the PPF, of not
yeah, they
having to
don't
deal
know.
with rock chips. They don't know the price, they don't know what goes into it. But if you can ask those questions, it sounds like, Patrice, you're getting them to see that. You're getting them to like verbalize that.
Yeah, some of these clients will call these shops, and whatever these other shops will say, it's like it's as if they were speaking to God. It's golden. Yeah, no, this guy is he's really the shit. He knows what he's talking about. But the first thing you hear from the client after you talk to them, you're like, oh, that's not entirely true. That's not right.
Right.
Well, he told me that. I get it. But if you really want to have the right information, I'll give it to you right now. But you know what? I'll do you one better. I will send you links to videos. I'll send you links that you can read upon what I just told you, and you'll see that I'm telling the truth. You don't have to
Yes.
believe me right now. I don't care whether you do or not. But I'm telling you, this is the information that you should have been given.
Yeah. Yeah, because now you're putting that research to your products,
In
to your
motion.
manufacturer. Yeah. So you brought up a good, or you touched on a good point there, Patrice, about expectations.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily a pricing objection, but what if somebody just does not expect what the product is? Like they're not 100%, seeing eye to eye with you, Patrice, on
Yeah.
what the product is and how much it costs.
Yes.
How do you tackle expectations there?
Okay. So first off, I would say on the phone, and this is normally what I say. I said, you know what? What I can do for you, and I'm not afraid of doing this, and I'll be more than happy to welcome you. Come and visit us. Okay. I will schedule a date and a time, and please come and see us. Okay. And then we will show you what paint protection film looks like. You'll be able to touch it, to feel it, to stretch it as much as you want. And on top of that, you're going to be able to see our shop. And second, the guys are going to be installing at the same time. You're going to be able to watch exactly how it's being installed. I'll be more than happy to do that for you.
Yeah, that's a huge point for not just the expectations part, but something we touched on earlier about building that trust, right? If you're like, hey, we have nothing to hide, we're an open book, we want to give you the information, whether you're a client of
Always
ours
do
or
that.
not. Yeah, I think that goes a long way, without a doubt.
This is you're touching the right nerve right now. If you're preventing a customer from coming to your place of business to show them the kind of quality of work that you do, that'll raise a red flag. Don't be afraid to open up your door and show the quality of work that you're doing, showing the cars that are coming in. For them to actually look at and go, okay, this guy knows exactly what he's doing. The shop is clean and all that, blah blah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're shaking hands. Okay, when you meet the person, make sure a good handshake. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you doing? Shake him off a
Yeah.
little bit. Show him that you're happy to see him. Have a smile on your face. Hi, be joyful. Welcome him. He's actually opening up his wallet right now. He hasn't put his hand into it right then and there. But the wallet's open. Make him reach into it. Give yourself a chance by opening up the doors, welcoming him inside your shop, show him everything that you do, and then go from there, and then just shut up and listen to what the client is saying and answer each and every one of his questions. It doesn't mean he's going to book with you right then and there, but at least you've instilled the confidence that he was looking for.
Yeah.
He might come back to you tomorrow, in 2 days, in a week from now. It doesn't matter. You have not wasted your time.
Yeah. And the cool thing about that, a lot of detailers will think that they're wasting their time by doing that. But
You're not.
I think the biggest thing to note there is you're doing so much to build that credibility. And I think that's what will prevent somebody from doing business with you. That credibility, that trust, that friendliness. And I think I don't know if this is a strategy that you take, Patrice, but from what it sounds like, you're very passive when they come in person. You're not like pushy. You're not trying to
Never.
steer them one direction. You're
Never.
just giving them the information. You're letting them see what the process looks like, what products you use, who you are. And I think a lot of people can recognize that this guy, like, he's not desperate for my business. He's not, over promising the world. He wants what's best. He wants what's in my best interest, essentially.
There you go, right there. This is the example I'm going to give you is the perfect example. Client brought his 2025 Mercedes-Benz GLC 100% electric. That vehicle is over 100 grand. Okay, we do a full PPF on the front of it, ceramic coating, blah blah. First thing we notice on the car, there's a piece of black piano in the front of the bumper that goes like this.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
We noticed something off with it. We're like, how comes there's dust underneath the thing? There's dust underneath the black piano, and something's off here. And as I'm scratching that dust, the paint comes off. I'm like, what the heck? And compared to the left side, which is the driver's side, it feels plastic. It doesn't feel tacky. And I go back and I'm like, oh man, this piece got repainted. And now I'm actually inspecting the whole piece. And as I'm going down, I'm like, how come that piece is offset? I'm just touching that piece and boom, the piece breaks off. And I see glue. I see glue underneath the piece. I'm like, and I'm pulling on the piece and I took it off the car like it was nothing. I'm like, okay, so this piece got broken off at the dealership or at the manufacturing plant and they try to fix it by hiding it from the customer. That's not right. So right then and there, I take pictures, videos. I call my client right away. I tell him. He's like, yeah, they told me that that there was something wrong with that piece and they sent it off to this place to get it repainted. I said, well, the paint came off and your piece is broken, by the way. I didn't know if you know that. And I said, there's glue. They tried to glue it and everything. I said, the pins in the back are broken and all that stuff. They're like, what? They didn't tell me that. I said, look, your car's going to be ready tomorrow morning. Come by tomorrow morning to pick it up and I'll show you. So this morning when he came to pick it up, I showed him everything. Man, the customer was irate, like totally irate, mad as hell. So I took pictures, videos. I sent them that. I wrote a report for him to bring it to the dealership. I said, in due conscience, what should have happened at the dealership? They knew that this piece was defective. They should have replaced it free of charge with a brand new OEM piece from Mercedes. We're not talking about a Lada at $20,000. We're talking about a Mercedes-Benz that's worth $135,000 to $140,000, and they're not able to replace that piece of black piano with a brand new one that's going to cost them what, 30, 40, 50 bucks, and keep the chance of keeping that client alive for and have good feedback instead of. I said, that's my 2 cents on the matter that I told my customer. I said, and the client shook my hand and said, thank you for everything that you've done for me. It says, if it wasn't for you, I would have never caught on to that. This is the reason why people come to us. It's the reason we've made our reputation based on everything that we've seen on vehicles. We've called manufacturers out. We've called dealerships out because of this. Some of them don't like us. Some of them do because it keeps them, it lifts up their standards at that point. Yeah. So as a detailer or as a PPF installer, ceramic installer, whatever, whether you do paint correction, it doesn't matter. Know every single system from every manufacturer. Know all your paint systems. But not only that, go over and beyond to educate yourself, to be able to educate your clientele and your leads when you talk to them. I can tell you, I can vouch this. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. When you're speaking on the phone or in person, the person in front of you or on the phone will know if you're full of shit or if you're telling the truth and you know exactly what you're talking about. Because if you know what you're talking about, they're going to research that. I can guarantee you they're going to research it. Yes. Hence why they're going to call you back to book with you. And they'll know if you're bullshitting as well. So
yeah. And another important thing to note about PPF is, like, once people get quotes, they're familiar with what price range they're looking at, they're going to do even more research, right? Just to, one, make sure that they're investing in the right place.
Yes.
But also making sure they're getting the best product, the best customer service, and the support that comes afterwards, right? Like, I think that's also an important thing to note is it's not just, an initial sale, they close, and then they don't ever hear from Patrice. It's usually, Patrice, I bet, if somebody has questions, you're there to answer them. You're there to help them out,
always
give them best tips to maintain that PPF. So I think, from just to summarize the pricing objections, it sounds like the key things are to be very personable, give them the information that they need, right? Have an informed buyer, and be flexible with them.
Yes. If you're able, by any chance, everybody will know their cost of doing business. If you don't know your cost of doing business, there's a huge problem right there. So go back to the drawing board because you're not going to be in business very long. But if you know your costs and you have some wiggle room, okay, and you tell the client, normally with taxes it would be this, okay, I know you might not have the funding, to afford this right now, but if they're a returning client, you say, you've been coming, you've been encouraging me for X amount of years, I'll cut you a break. This is what I can do for you. And then you give them a discount, too much of it. But let's say you eat up the taxes. Let's say your taxes in your area is 6 or 7%. Eat up the taxes. That client's going to be happy, okay? And what's going to happen? Word of mouth. He's going to say, hey, man, I went to this guy. This is my fourth car I bring to him. He cut me a break. He's going to explain to you. It's like, it doesn't mean he's going to cut you a break, but he cut me some slack. because I
Yeah.
had he's going to see this friend. I only had this much in the budget, and that's it. And he was able to do it for me, and I'm super happy about it. But you know that this client's going to be a lifer. Just do a
Yeah.
little bit, go over and beyond for your returning clients. If it's a brand new one, I'm not saying not to do it, but don't start off by giving them a discount, because now they're
Right.
going to expect it every single time. Stay on your prices and try and breach the gap with the client. So meaning is the client is going to have to come up to your prices, not you going down to him. Because
Yes.
you have to make them understand that this is the price that you're setting for your services.
I think
So,
that right there is probably one of the biggest takeaways. You don't want to come down to their what they expect the price to be. You want to bring them up to what your prices are. Patrice, I think that's a really good place to wrap up. I think we covered everything from I can find it somewhere else cheaper, not really sure it's worth the investment, and setting the proper expectations on top of how to navigate pricing objections as a whole. We covered that in the beginnings. I think that's a pretty good episode, Patrice. I think
yeah,
this
man.
gives a lot of people a good idea of what to expect with PPF, how to overcome pricing objections, and what to do after somebody says, I found a cheaper quote. That's too expensive. So, Patrice, I want to thank you so much for your time. Your knowledge is super,
Pleasure.
like your knowledge, experience, man. So, one quick thing that I also want to let people know about is we are bringing back weekly coaching calls, the live streams in
Sweet.
February. So, it'll be the same kind of format. We'll alternate between Patrice and Aaron each week. We're not sure, we're not 100% sure right now on the times, but yeah, we'll get that ironed out. And I'm looking forward to getting those lives back. Those
Same
live streams
here.
back.
Those were golden.
Those were they're so much fun. So yeah, we got to bring those back. All right, Patrice, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it,
My
and
pleasure.
I'll see you later, man. You
Have
have
a
a
good
good day.
weekend, Sal.